Hello, it's the well-dressed wargamer here, and I'm going to talk to you about Eldfall Chronicles, a new skirmish game Kickstarter, currently being kickstarted. And I want to tell you, I think it looks awesome, and tell you why you might be interested. Firstly, I think it looks awesome. Specifically, great artwork, but more importantly, awesome models. I really love the look of the models. I think it's got exciting rules that I would like to play, and it's got really invested creators. The people who made this Kickstarter that are starting this Freecompany, pretty awesome. So let's have a look at all of these. So the awesome models. I really like high fantasy. It's a thing that I like, and the models are high fantasy, they're anime influenced, and they're really cool. There's lots of flowing robes, dynamic poses. I'm excited to paint them, and if I don't get a good game out of them all, I'll have awesome models for an RPG, but I think I'm going to. Looking at the factions, they've got 4 factions, 2 human and 2 Rin factions, which are effectively elves, which I really like because I'm just an elf player. I like things like that. Sorry, but yeah, they've all got interesting styles. The models are quite computer MMO-esque. There seems to be a bit of inspiration there, and maybe a few of them are a bit too scantily clad, but not safe for work, not dodgy, but you know, maybe a little too cheesecakey. But I still really like them. So there's 2 human factions. I'm just getting them up here. There is the Empire of Soga, which is basically fantasy Japan, katanas, samurai armor, eastern feel. There's the Sand Kingdoms, Egyptian inspired mages, I think, loose flowing robes, again decadent power, sort of, yeah, a lot of magic vibe, which I love. I'm particularly like magic in games, so I'm excited by them. And then there's a paired Elven factions, the Rinian factions, the Sun Rin and the Moon Rin, which I think have their own names, and they really remind me of the Dragon Prince, which is a cartoon that I absolutely love. You should check it out; it's amazing. But yeah, you've got sort of the Hellion League, these Greek-esque Helrin, Sun Elves, shining armour, roaring flames, champions, defenders of the light, that kind of thing, and the coalition of Fenin. I'm probably saying that wrong, but they're more like, they're the Moon Elves. They strike me as Elven Assassin's Creed, swashbuckling dagger. The models all have a sense of movement. The models are all pretty dynamic, but there's enough not dynamic across the range that the dynamic ones look dynamic. Not everyone's moving, enough people are. So that's some of my thoughts about the models. Let's go on to the rules. The rules are similar to a game called Infinity. Basically, this looks like fantasy Infinity. Everyone I know that plays Infinity says it's really fun. It's a D20 based system. It's I go, you go, so I have my turn, you have your turn, but there's reactions. So whilst I'm having my turn, everything I do, you can react to. So the game is very back and forth. They're never, oh, I wait for 15 minutes while Jeff has his turn. You're always doing something. You're thinking, do I want to dodge? Do I want to shoot back? What do I want to do? And this is baked into the rules of this game. It's very, Infinity is very tactical. There's a lot of board control going on, so I assume that will cross over. Other things I'm excited about, there's a magic system that's written to invoke a bit of that sense of awe, a bit of that versatility mages give you, and be filled with meaningful choices and be quite deep that you have to learn it. And well, that ticks lots of boxes for me. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm excited to try that. That sounds fantastic. The beta rules are available, so you can download them, read them, print out proxies or use models and play the game. And there's a lot of playtesting going on with it. On their Discord, you can talk about the rules, there's playtesters, and yeah, that's really exciting, that a game that wants to be competitive, that wants to be fun and not broken. And, you know, many games are like that, but many games aren't. So, yeah, every model has its own stat card, absolutely great for a war game. I've got their main stats on there, I've got their rules on the back. I assume as you play it more, you get used to what everything has, but you've got all the information handily available to you, and you're not clogged up with loads of stuff. You've just got exactly what you need. So that's perfect for a skirmish game. And the game has solo mode, which isn't for me. I'm not a solo wargamer, but some people are, and a co-op mode. So basically both solo mode and co-op mode, sort of more like playing Dungeons and Dragons. You're playing a little campaign, you're going through fighting against the enemies, and I'm excited to try co-op mode as well, because that sounds a giggle, getting people and doing some wargaming, but both being on the same page, and particularly if it's hard. So yeah, my last point was invested creators. The people that have started this Kickstarter, this is their first Kickstarter, their first time they're sort of entrepreneurs here starting up a company. They clearly love mythology, they clearly love gaming, they clearly love what they're doing, and they're trying to weave all that together, and that's fantastic. They've made a game that, like I say, I think looks awesome, has absolutely great artwork, and that's wonderful. But particularly their creators are, as well as invested in the future, like they're talking about what other things they want to bring into this game. They're not just, this is the Kickstarter, that's it. Like, they want to get this out to retailers. If you're a retailer and you're interested, email them. They've not got a Kickstarter for you. They want to talk to people individually and properly and work out how to do all of that stuff. But yeah, they want to grow their world. They want to add Oni and goblins and kitsune, which are fox people, which sound really cool, which I'm quite excited by, into the game. And so there's a lot more coming, hopefully, if this grows and gets a community around it, which is great. But the thing I really love about the creators is they have amazing communication. They're really involved in the Kickstarter comments. They're really active on their Discord, which you can just sign up to. And they're really willing to learn and listen. They've listened to what people have said in the first few days of this Kickstarter, and they've changed and updated the Kickstarter accordingly. They're trying to get everything right. They're trying to deliver an amazing product. At the moment, they're talking with manufacturers to see what they can do about some of the things people came up with that they weren't sure. Oh, we're not sure about this, and they're looking about printing rulebooks, because initially it was just digital, and maybe having that with the game, or maybe having that as an add-on depending on what it costs, and looking at getting more models in the game. And they've already added into the base pledge a load of scenery that was a stretch goal, because they want to have a game that whatever happens, even if no one more backs it, what comes out of the game is top quality, is amazing, people can play it and have a great time. And yeah, it looks like it is that to me, and it's just really exciting seeing a bunch of creators who are invested, who aren't jaded and aren't just in it for the money. They're in to make something for the long term that's excellent. So yeah, I'm excited by that. So what else do I want to talk about here? Well, there's been another few videos about this, and one video in particular was quite down on Eldfall Chronicles, and I wanted to have a think about some of the things that was brought up in that video. So firstly, that was on a channel that does board game reviews, and this is not a board game, it's a skirmish war game rather than a skirmish board game. Seems subtle, but it is quite a big thing. The things that they didn't like, some of them were very reasonable, some of them not really reasonable for a war game. So they really didn't like double-sided cards with information on for your characters. They wanted decks of cards with each character, with all their spells, with all their abilities, so you can have the right one, so you can upgrade it, all the type of things that would be great in a board game and would be terrible in a war game, because you do not want tons of cards and stuff all on the table for each of your 6 different characters in a war game. No, you want one card each, something like that, straightforward, all the stuff's there, and you get to know the rules, and that's brilliant. And so that was a criticism to the game, which is very fair against a board game, not very fair against a war game, but they're a board game channel. Don't know why they reviewed this, probably because it looked awesome. So other things, initially there's no rulebook with the game. It's going to be digital, which is great for wargaming. Again, we can all read digital things, but it means it can constantly be updated, be a live rulebook. If there's an errata, the errata can go out, but the rulebook's updated too. And they were like, whoa, people like physical books. And hey, I like physical books, people do. And so the creators have been like, whoa, can we make a physical book? And they're looking into doing that. And so that's great. Again, the communicativeness of the creators, I think, is fantastic. So that was a criticism. It seems to be addressed. And, you know, I want this company to do well and make money. So I think it's sensible that they're doing things at the right level that they can afford and do well. And the other criticism was the models per faction, that at the starting level that the game is coming out at, you get 3 models per faction. So you spend about 100 quid on the game. If no stretch goals are reached, the game makes 12 models. And well, you know, if you do miniature gaming at £10 a model, that's about right for a good quality model. That's what they are. These models look gorgeous, so it's not a bad buy-in at all. There's problems that the game is 6 models aside, but actually a load of those models can be used in different factions. You have enough to play with 6 models in the base set. Like, I'll have these ones as mercenaries, these are the people I'm playing with, great, I can go. But I am certain, given that this funded so quickly, by the end of the Kickstarter campaign, they will have easily unlocked their first stretch goal, which is going to mean another 4 models, and then I've got 16 models for my money, and beyond. It's just potentially going to get better and better, but I'm going to have loads of stuff to play with, and they're going to continue to release stuff for this game going forward into the future, because it's a miniature war game. You want to collect stuff, you want to get more for your faction, and that sounds great. So I'm really happy with the level it is, and I would really prefer something that can be achieved and accomplished, and I can get to paint these awesome models and play with them, rather than something where I have everything to begin with, but they don't get it funded or they go bust. So I'm really happy with this. This looks great. Any other things? So yeah, just mini thing about Skirmish Wargaming. I imagine if you're watching this, you're probably interested in Skirmish Wargaming, but I think it's awesome because you can have really deep rules, which this game has, because you have a small model count, 6 models aside. I can actually manage to paint my army in a reasonable time and then have fun with it, rather than taking forever, getting disheartened, not being able to do as good quality on my army, and then playing with grey models, which, you know, I don't do anymore. My friend Andrew drilled that into me. That's a bad thing, so I don't. Painted models all the way, and you can do that with Skirmish Wargaming. And because it's small factions, you can either collect lots of factions as the game gets bigger, or you can just collect one faction, have your things, leave it there. But because Skirmish Wargaming small model count, that means I can collect 2 or 3 Skirmish War games and play them and find the ones I find most fun without massive investments in thousands of pounds of plastic. So yeah, I'm excited by that. Anyway, the Eldfall Chronicles, a fantasy skirmish board game that may or may not be your cup of tea, but it looks fantastic to me. I'm really excited for this coming out, and I think you should be too. You should go and have a look at it, see what you think, and yeah, blessings, have fun.